Hear you on 8. You on 8. Okay, you're clear. Stand by for your base.
Welcome to EMS Cast, where we provide high-level education for you, the providers on the streets. I'm Ross Orpit, and I just had the pleasure of attending the National Association of EMS Physicians conference held in Tampa Bay this last month. This was a great conference packed full of great lectures, which we did a summary of on our podcast, and I'll link to that in the description below. But this video, I wanted to share some of the cool new innovations in tech that are coming into the field of EMS. And so I did some interviews to see what they're putting out there. If you're new to the channel, we mainly focus on continuing education for pre-hospital providers. And this sort of industry news / innovative tech video in EMS is a new one for us. But if you guys find it interesting and want to see more stuff like this, make sure to let us know in the comments. Before we get to the actual conference in that video, there was one interview where we had some technical difficulties and lost most of the audio for the interview. Now, instead of just scrap it altogether, it was one of the more impressive pieces of tech that I saw there. So I kind of wanted to chat with you guys a little bit about it. This company was called Good Sam, and I will link to their website below. Now, they provide a number of different services, but they started out as a crowdsourcing CPR service. As they put it, they were astounded by a statistic that showed if you were in an airport and suffered a cardiac arrest, you had nearly an 80% chance of survival, compared to if you were somewhere else, less than 10%. Now, this is probably due to the availability of people all around you who could potentially provide you with bystander CPR, AEDs located throughout the airport. And so they came up with an idea to bring more of that outside of the airport. They created a registry of CPR volunteers who would be willing to respond to a possible cardiac arrest emergency to help provide CPR until EMS got there. It uses GPS location on their phone to notify them if they are near a potential cardiac arrest, and they can respond if they're willing. They also have a giant registry of AEDs. The user can actually see that on their phone as well and go pick up an AED and respond to the emergency. One of the crazier things I heard is they're working on a drone AED delivery service. Now, that may be one of the most futuristic things that I heard at this conference, but the second most futuristic thing was the video service they offer. So Good Sam can integrate with dispatch. 911 dispatch can then text a 911 caller a link that gives them permission to use their GPS location as well as the camera on their phone. That 911 caller can then use the camera to give the dispatcher a visual of the patient, of the scene, of the car accident, or whatever have you. What's even more impressive is the dispatcher can then take that video and push it to the responders. So their first responders can get a visual of the scene they're driving to and be better prepared before they get there. Included in this video service is supposedly the ability to detect a patient's heart rate and respiratory rate with up to a 92% accuracy. Now, this last part I'm still a little skeptical about, but if it were true, it would certainly be game-changing. I do apologize to Mark, the co-founder, for the technical glitch with our interview and that I wasn't able to share his entire presentation with you here today. But go check out their link in their website to see all the different services they offer. And with that, let's head over to Tampa to check out the conference and some other interviews.
Cellular, Bluetooth, GPS, and Wi-Fi all built in. You can see every device, where it's at, the battery health, the pad status, pad expiration date. It's got on-the-fly bilingual mode. Then it's got universal pads with child mode. You can do training through the same device with these. You don't have to go buy a separate device to do training with. It tells you pull here to start. Once you pull that out, it starts giving you instructions on what to do. I mean, it's fully automatic. I'm going about my day. Maybe I'm at the mall or I'm running on a trail and I see somebody's collapsed. My brain is not going to be a place where I can make a lot of really good decisions at that point. In that heightened state, adrenaline is pumping. Now they have to say, yes, I'm going to choose to shock a person. I would rather have the machine do that for them. You get the stickers on and the machine takes over. These little lightning bolts will start blinking red. They'll tell you to stay back. Then it delivers a shock, and then right away it goes into CPR instruction. Once pads are placed, it'll actually alert 911 through a technology called Rapid SOS. They can actually see within a 5-meter radius if it has a GPS connection. where that person is. Maybe you've got like a ball field complex, there's a dozen baseball fields. 911 can tell them it is in the bleachers of field 7, go straight to field 7. That 911 telecommunicator, they can see, okay, 1 shock has been applied, 2 shocks have been applied. It pushes that entire incident report to the hospital. They can see that report while that patient's being transported, and they can say, okay, this is what was happening. As soon as that analysis started, we can see what the heart was doing. We can see that report real time, and they can either scan a QR code, or they can say it's incident, 123 ABC, and they can pull that up and see that PDF. They don't need to download software. There's nothing like that. They can see it within moments. And timestamps around how 911 was involved when the call came in.
It's a cloud-based communication technology. Basically, we connect teams within organizations, STEMI, stroke, trauma, sepsis, all of those time-sensitive emergencies. It also manages things like mass casualty incidents, surge incidents, if we need to do wildfire evacuations or hurricane evacuations. So we can use this technology to track patients as well. So when you think of like the archaic technologies we use, like radios and pagers and fax machines to communicate with each other, we just replace that with modern technologies. We'll say this is EMS and this is the hospital team, and I'm in the field. I've got a patient that I think is maybe having a STEMI. So I can quickly create a patient channel. Let's say that this is a 50-year-old male and I think they're having a STEMI. So I can select that as my patient type. If I want to do things like add images of a medication list, I can even pull in an ECG directly from the cardiac monitors. We've got multiple cardiac monitor integrations. When you think back to the standard process, we're calling a radio report, nurses listening to it, writing it down, and then we're also faxing a 12 lead or sending it by email. So we kind of consolidate all of that tech into a single workflow. And so using the platform, I'm going to select my hospital and hit alert. So when I do that, it's not only going to alert the hospital that we're coming in with a STEMI, but they're going to get the push alert. It's going to make a loud siren sound, which gets louder and louder over the course of about 30 seconds. When they acknowledge that alert, it's going to take them directly into that patient channel, but it's also going to send a push alert to the field to let them know that they acknowledge the patient. And then when they look at it, they can see the ECG, they can see any medical information, vital signs, labs, and then a single button, instead of calling the operator to say page the team, the STEMI team, the stroke team, the trauma team, you simply hit activate and it goes downstream to anyone who may be on call, cardiologist, cath lab nurse, you name it.
And does the info you enter into this, you said it communicates with your PCR, so like the vitals
Correct.
automatically go to your...
We've got a public API that we do our ePCR integrations with, so that you can pull this directly into your pre-hospital charting system as well as your hospital charting system. And then we've got integrations with cardiac monitors, we've got integrations with like neuroimaging companies like Rapid AI and Viz.ai for CT, CTAs for stroke care and trauma care as well.
You can use it for like incident management too?
Yeah, so just the same way we just alerted the hospital for a single patient, like that's having a STEMI or a single event, if I am incident command or a fire chief or something and I need to create an incident using the same user interface and the same app, I can create an MCI or any type of incident. It's going to find me on the map. I can set up my command wherever I want to. It's going to give the lat and long. I name the incident, select the patient type. So let's say if it's an active shooter or a school bus rollover or something, we would default to trauma patient type. And then I create the incident. And so each time I create a patient within that incident, it's going to keep a running total.
I'm Dave Rakey with Philips Healthcare. We're here in the Boundtree booth, and we're highlighting our point of care ultrasound. And this is our Philips point of care ultrasound. We have our linear and our phase transducers here. And these point of care ultrasound transducers connect directly to an Android tablet or an Apple device. But these are basically the presets for the linear. vascular, superficial, MSK, soft tissue. And by having these presets already in the system, the Lumify's beamformer is optimized to give you that large cart-based image quality in a point-of-care footprint in a field application. You can see I can just either pick with my fingers on the icons or rotate, and then I hit the scan, and now I have a functioning ultrasound machine right in front of me in my hand. The tablet powers the transducer, and with this Samsung, I'm seeing on trade shows with active scanning about 7 or 8 hours battery life. You have the ability to take up to 10-second video loops, and everything is stored on the tablet device. Once the exam is completed, you then have the option of exporting to a thumb drive, a shared network drive, any free cloud-based service, or even email if you prefer.